Hello and welcome, my name is Dinis Whiskers and this is vemonline.net. In this short video we will try to figure out what is the most important organ or what are the most important organs in the human body. Let's take a look at our beautiful three-dimensional body. Let's see what's inside, and you can notice a highlighted structure right in the middle, right in the center of the brain. Sort of pale green color. This structure is called pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is this P-shaped structure that measures 1 to 1.5 centimeters in diameter. It does lie in hypophyseal fossa or sphenoid bone, and it does attach the hypothalamus by this structure called infundibulum. First of all, let's figure out what do we see here. What view is this? We are looking at the right side's brainstem. These are the directions: superior, meaning above, inferior, meaning below, posterior towards the back, anterior towards the front. So we can say that hypothalamus lies right above pituitary gland, superior posteriorly in relationship to pituitary gland, and vice versa. Pituitary gland lies underneath, it lies anterior inferiorly in relationship to hypothalamus. This structure in between is called infundibulum, which connects hypothalamus to pituitary gland. And there's another structure that we can see right there above pituitary gland, optic chiasm, which is basically the beginning point of optic nerve, optic nerves. That's actually the part where optic nerves cross, meaning nerve fibers coming from, let's say, left side's eye actually go to right side's brain. But this is not the subject of this video. I'm not going to expand on that too much. Just know that optic nerve lies right above pituitary gland. So pituitary gland marked in red. And there's another structure that we should probably mention since we are talking about hypothalamus pituitary gland region. This other structure is thalamus, and just look at these names. Hypothalamus, meaning just below thalamus. Hypothalamus and pituitary gland serve as this connection between nervous system and endocrine system. Thalamus is part of nervous system. However, hypothalamus and pituitary gland actually are part of endocrine system. Let's take a look at this one more time. Superior, inferior, anterior, posterior directions. Hypothalamus lies anterior inferiorly off of the thalamus, and pituitary gland lies anterior inferiorly to hypothalamus. So they are all stuck on top of each other. These other structures shown here are all parts of brainstem: midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. For the purpose of this video, we are really focused on these three structures: thalamus, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. All three of them are parts of the brain. However, thalamus is part of nervous system, but these two other structures are part of endocrine system. Thalamus is this olive-shaped structure that serves as a relay station for impulses traveling to and from the spinal cord, brainstem, cerebellum, and cerebrum. It has an important function in directing sensory input to appropriate place in cerebral cortex. Sensory input from the body, eyes, ears, and other senses, all except for smell, pass through thalamus. In other words, we can say that thalamus is this switching station that connects all parts of the brain. And then we have these two other structures, hypothalamus and pituitary gland. There is another name for pituitary gland, hypophysis, which makes sense. Just think of the name, hypo, meaning below. For many years, pituitary gland or hypophysis was called the master endocrine gland because it secretes several hormones that control other endocrine glands. We now know that pituitary gland itself has a master, hypothalamus. Both of these structures together are major link between nervous and endocrine systems. Cells in hypothalamus synthesize at least 9 different hormones, and pituitary gland secretes 7. Together, these hormones play important roles in regulation of virtually all aspects of growth, development, metabolism, and homeostasis. This makes both of these structures truly, without a question, absolutely no doubt, the most important structures in the body. Let's zoom out. Here you can see where exactly these structures are located. That's the brainstem, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. Some people refer to this part of the brain as the reptilian brain. This is the most primitive area of the human brain. This reptilian brain may be primitive, but it controls absolutely essential functions to the survival, such as heart rate, breathing, digesting food, sleeping. And we already covered that the hypothalamus together with the pituitary gland, located right here, control virtually all aspects of growth, development, metabolism, and homeostasis. The other part of the brain, actually the part that you don't see in this image, sometimes is referred to as the monkey brain. Now this other part of the brain, this monkey brain, which is basically cerebrum or cortex, is the largest part of the human brain, and it is associated with higher brain functions such as thought and action. And that's the rest of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, that's the brain, together with the spinal cord, C and S, and the rest, that's all the nerves, that's peripheral nervous system, or P and S. So just looking at this, what do you think? What are the basic necessities of simply life? Basic necessities doesn't necessarily involve conscious thought, but there's absolutely no way around this. We definitely need this. This reptilian brain is purely reflex based. It is autonomic, meaning that it doesn't require any thought or action, right? It functions on its own. You go to sleep, your heart is still beating, you're still breathing, your GI tract is working, your cells are splitting, you're growing, homeostasis, your temperature is constant, you're not overheating, or your core temperature is not dropping. All that is maintained on its own. But there are certain methods how to influence this reptilian brain, and I'll talk about that in my next video. I rely mostly on this particular book, Principles of Anatomy and Physiology, Gerard Tortora, Brian Derksen. This is its 13th edition, and this is the previous edition. These books should be pretty familiar if you are an anatomy and physiology student. Thank you for watching. This was about the most important structures in human body, and I hope this is useful.